Hey, welcome to Life Hacks with the Tipman. Today we're going to do a thing called
Tip Rewind.
What we're going to do is we're going to look back on some of the tips I've shared with you, talk about the good ones, the bad ones, the ones maybe I could have done a better job, and also some feedback I've gotten from you guys on some better options, and I really appreciate that feedback. Oh, hey, one of the things, one of my tips I have to tell you about, there's a guy in South Korea who became a national hero doing one of my hacks. Now, he didn't get the hack from me, but he did the hack and became a hero in South Korea. So, hey, you never know what can happen from watching this show. So, on with the show. I had a couple of you who messaged me saying, hey, Tip Man, you gave us that tip on how to tell whether an egg is hard-boiled or raw, but you didn't really test it. You didn't show us testing it. So, all right, fine. I'll go ahead and test it for you guys. So what I have here is I have 2 hard-boiled eggs and 2 raw eggs. I don't know which is which. So let's see. So the key to this tip is you got to spin it. Okay, see how that's not spinning very well? Oh, see how that one's spinning? All right, so immediately I know this is hard-boiled. I'm willing to go ahead and test this on my head. All right, right there. Hey, look, see, hard-boiled. We're good. I got that right. I'm certain this one is raw, just because, again, it spins terribly. Yeah, there you go. It's raw. Okay, so for all you doubters out there you go. Another tip I shared with you guys was a book called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning by Margareta Magnusson. Great book. Basically, the premise of it was, as you get older, you need to take responsibility for your stuff and really try to downsize so you don't leave a big mess for your heirs. So a friend of mine, Jim, actually pointed out to me, he said, Tim, I wish you had mentioned something in this tip about the fact that it would be nice if when people get older, they have some kind of box or something with just stuff that they want thrown away when they die. And in Jim's case, he had a story where a friend of his had passed away, and his friend had asked him to kind of clean his house out after he passed. And he did, and he found a journal. And Jim went through it just to make sure everything was okay, read part of it, and he was like, this is not a good thing for his family to get and read. And he knew his friend would not want them to do that, so Jim threw it away. Well, I'm here to tell you, I left that out, but Margareta Magnusson actually talks about that in her book. She highly recommends all older people have a throwaway box, and it's for things like journals, letters, anything you just want people to go through after you pass, but you want to hang on for you. So it's a great suggestion. I appreciate Jim pointing that out. On a previous episode, I talked about how it's really disgusting to blow out birthday candles. In fact, Clemson did a study showing that when you do that, you increase the bacteria on a cake by like 1,400%. It's really disgusting when you think about it. So the tip I shared was, hey, instead of blowing it out, just use a spoon, invert the spoon, tap the candle, it goes out, works great. And I said, by the way, if you have a young child who really wants to blow that candle out, what you can do is you can go ahead and buy them a candle snuffer. I mean, there's tons of them on Amazon. So I had a number of you who said, hey, Tim, man, you missed the obvious hack, which is instead of those things, just buy your toddler a cupcake and let them blow out the cupcake, and then everyone can eat the cake without all the bacteria on it. That's a really good point. I wish I had thought of that. I appreciate the feedback, and yes, that's a good way to do it. Personally, though, I still like the spoon. Okay, hey, another hack I shared with you guys was on bidets. I won't go back through all the details that I talked about on bidets, but what was interesting to me was a number of people responded back to me and said, hey, aren't bidets really for women? No, man. Bidets are for men and women. In fact, in most first world nations around the world, outside the United States and Britain, that's the go-to. Bidet instead of toilet paper. Look, man, bidets are just cleaner, cheaper, and environmentally better than toilet paper. It's not even a contest. I was recently in Japan, and in Japan, bidets are everywhere. I mean, they're in hotels, they're in public restrooms, they're in restaurants. Matter of fact, here's a picture of Japan Airlines. They have bidets on their airplanes. Okay, they're everywhere. And by the way, if you ever fly Japan Airlines, just make sure you kind of research the buttons before you go in there. It could be bad, but anyway. But yes, they're for men and women both. You might remember at the top of this episode, I said that there was a hack that I talked about that a guy in South Korea did and became famous. I'm not saying I gave him the hack, but he did it and became like a national hero in South Korea. Seriously. So what the hack is, you might remember some episodes ago, I talked about where Dr. Oz was in the Oval Office and this guy was fainting. And Dr. Oz ran over, did the big bear hug on him, and gently laid him on the ground. And what Dr. Oz said later was, hey, look, when someone's fainting, rarely is it the underlying condition causing the faint that's really a problem. The problem is if that person faints and hits their head on the floor. That is really bad. Okay, and that was Dr. Oz's point. Well, what this guy in South Korea did, and by the way, here's the video. What this guy did is he saw an elderly woman fainting. She was going down. He realized there was no one around to protect this woman's head, and he ran up and stuck his foot out, and his foot protected the woman's head. Unbelievable. I mean, it's amazing how quickly he did that math in his head and helped save that woman, possibly saved her life. And, I'm not saying that if you watch my show, you can become a national hero, but, hey, this is actually kind of cool. On a previous tip, I said that one of the best ways to clean your dishwasher is you can take a glass bowl, fill it up with white vinegar, and then just run a load in your dishwasher without any dishes in there or any dishwashing soap. Just run it. That vinegar does a disinfecting, cleaning job inside the dishwasher. When I had rental property, I did this all the time. Worked great, never had any issues. Well, actually, a friend of mine, Paul, reached out to me and said, Tim, he said, doesn't vinegar mess up those rubber gaskets in a dishwasher? He said, I thought I read that somewhere. So Paul is correct. With a lot of cleaning with white vinegar, yes, it can mess up your rubber gaskets. Typically, I would do this every 6 to 12 months. I personally never had any issues in using white vinegar. This tip has been around for a really long time. If you're going to clean your dishwasher more than, say, every 6 months, I would really recommend you use a product on the market called Afresh. Afresh is actually designed to work with modern day dishwashers. It's been shown not to damage the rubber gaskets, and it does a good job cleaning. The reason I usually like this tip is because I don't think you need to really clean it that heavy duty, except maybe every 6 to 12 months. And it's like 50 cents of vinegar to go ahead and clean it versus like $3 for each one of those little pods you put in. So I like this better. But if you're going to clean it on a more regular basis, use Afresh. Recently, I shared a hack on how there are like 5 cool manly uses for a candle warmer. And I got a lot of feedback on that tip. But I will tell you, Macy Wilson actually said to me, she said, you said 5, but really there's a 6. And I'm like, okay, what's the 6th cool thing I can do with a candle warmer? And she goes, you can make dipped strawberries in chocolate. And I was like, what? So I researched it, and she was absolutely correct. So what you can do is you can buy melting chocolate. Don't use chocolate chips. Chocolate chips are not really designed for kind of melting and doing like a fondue. Instead, you need to get something like the Ghirardelli melting wafers. They come in different flavors, but this is what you need to get. You get a bowl, put them in there. You can put them under your candle warmer, put it on full blast. 30 to 40 minutes, that chocolate is melted and ready to go. In fact, you almost need to be careful because chocolate starts melting, or these wafers, about 90 degrees, fully melted at 110. You can actually scorch chocolate at about 120. So you actually need to use the Manly infrared temperature thermometer on it to make sure you get the right temperature, because you can adjust the temperature on your candle warmer to get to where it doesn't go above 120, and you can just dip away. And I'm telling you, I have to tell you folks, I test a lot of my tips. It's hard to get people to kind of help test. I had all kinds of volunteers for this one, man. Producer Paul, he even volunteered. It was a good hack, right, Paul?
Delicious.
Yeah, it was. It was a delicious hack. But anyway, highly recommend this. Macy, I appreciate you sharing that with me. Oh, one last pro tip. If you do this, make sure your strawberries room temperature, completely dry, because if any moisture on there, the chocolate doesn't adhere, kind of messes it up. So make sure you do that. Anyway, hey, really appreciate you being here. Hope you like the show. Please subscribe. That just lets us know that you're out there. Lets the algorithms know that you're out there and that you appreciate our show. Have a great week.
Some have fallen over unless I've been intentional.
No, that was me driving over here with some messed up cupcakes. I mean, yes, I made a start, a sharp.
Man, how are you driving?
In the parking lot.
Like, you can talk. You nearly took me out this morning, buddy.
The show was on.
Literally, you nearly took me out this morning.